Hello and welcome to Rendy Reviews, where I, Rendy Jones, review the latest in film and television. Today, we'll be reviewing Venom! There Be Carnage, the sequel to the 2018 hit Venom. The film was directed by Andy Serkis, written by Kelly Marcel, stars Tom Hardy, Michelle Williams, Naomi Harris, Reed Scott, Stephen Graham, and Woody Harrelson. The film's release date is October 1st, 2021, in theaters only. Tom Hardy returns to the big screen as the lethal protector Venom, one of Marvel's greatest and most complex characters. Directed by Andy Serkis, the film also stars Michelle Williams, Naomi Harris, and Woody Harrelson in the role of the villain Clevis / Carnage. Seriously, that's what's on Sony's official synopsis page. Damn Sony, y'all didn't give anyone shit. A few years ago when Venom came out, I wasn't a fan of the film at all. If anything, I saw it as a poor, desperate attempt for Sony to have any kind of ownership to the Spider-Man property to some extent, even though they shared joint custody with the Mouse House. For a dark anti-hero, the movie was poorly paced and bizarrely campy, where it felt like a product of the Daredevil days of superhero movies. With this follow-up, Sony honed in all of the stupid, campy energy from the first, mastered it, and somehow delivered the most hilarious and entertaining romp of a comic book movie I've seen in quite some time. I shit you not when I say that this is the best rom-com I've seen this year thus far. The sequel centers around Eddie Brock and Venom, who are both still adjusting to being symbiotically tethered to one another, especially establishing rules regarding how to lethally protect the city of San Francisco. Venom has developed a stronger appetite for human flesh, and Eddie tries to keep him at bay with chocolates and chickens. In the midst of being at this odd couple stage of their relationship, Eddie revamps his journalistic career and is covering the story of psychopathic serial killer Clevis, who grows a weird attachment towards him. Eddie and Venom inadvertently help solve the case of the dead bodies Cletus buried in his murder spree. This results in Cletus ending up being put on death row, but not long after the two having a little altercation, resulting in Cletus developing a symbiote of his own named Carnage. Now, with his newfound power, Clevis escapes prison and plots his revenge against Brock, along with the help of the superpower love of his life, Shriek. From the moment the title card begins and we see Eddie and Venom have their first comedic argument, Let There Be Carnage completely goes all in with the odd couple feel, and it surprisingly works effortlessly. By making it a silly, balls to the wall rom-com, the film does a stellar job furthering the relationship between Venom and Eddie in a bold, unconventional light that exudes nothing but delight. Seriously, there's no subtle ambiguity regarding Venom and Eddie being boyfriends, because that's the basis of the narrative. Tom Hardy and screenwriter Kelly Marcel, who both crafted the story together, took the most insane and functional ingredients of the first film, applied it to this, and I'll be damned that it works spectacularly. The movie makes it clear that when Lady Venom took over Anne, who kissed Eddie, it was really Venom because he's in love with him. The movie is so on the nose with its rom-com sensibilities and is unapologetic about it, giving this its own identity in a scene of superhero movies that try so hard to either be edgy or expositional to set up another phase in an ongoing franchise that is playing it by the books. Venom follows the beats of a standard romantic comedy, and while it's uproariously funny seeing it enact all of the tropes in context, it's executed in such a vibrant and charming manner that you end up rooting for Eddie and Venom's relationship to prosper. While the first film's campy tone only worked in spurts for it's tonally all over the place, this ups the ante with confidence. Everyone close to Eddie who knows about Venom also has some sort of a relationship with him as well. They know that they are different, and even the writing accomplishes that too. The jokes are still on an Adult Swim sitcom basis of humor, but man, did it give me nothing but belly laughs throughout. I nearly lost my breath because of how hard this movie had me rolling. Don't get me wrong, like the first, the story is completely dumb. In fact, at times it goes full dumbass, but hey, I'm something of a dumbass myself. In fact, at times it goes full dumbass, but it never even tries to act self-conscious about it, and that's what I genuinely adore about this. Much like Venom himself, the film embraces its stupid identity, learns from its past mistakes, and actually dares to be different, even down to being over 97 minutes long. Where superhero movies have always strived for a bloated runtime, Venom 2 keeps it short and quick, and it moves at a breakneck speed, though at times it feels incomplete where pieces of the story are left on the cutting room floor. For the longest time, superhero movies have been conditioned to be nearly 2 hours or longer, but director Andy Serkis said, "I'ma do this shit in 100 minutes or less." So while the jokes keep on coming and you're laughing at this absurdity and earnestness of the LGBTQ representation to an anti-hero, by the time you hit the climax, it feels like hardly much time has passed at all. This is why I see myself more inclined to rewatch this instead of Shang-Chi or Black Widow, which, outside of a few great moments of action, either takes itself too seriously or unnecessarily overlong with its runtime. Though I wouldn't necessarily say that Andy Serkis' direction brings any newness to this entry, I admire him for managing to deliver chaotic and zany action that helps make it stand out in both location and blocking for the CG effects. The action sequences are CG heavy and over the top, which at times may vary in quality, but it manages to be self-contained enough where it thinks of how to utilize the symbiote's weaknesses as part of the stakes itself. Plus, he explores a bit of effective horror that works especially with Carnage's introduction scene. Well, this movie was bound to have a variety of flaws. It's chock full of misfires that prevent it from being a great sequel, apart from just a marginal improvement. As far as the story goes, it doesn't feel as complete as it should be. Due to so many different powers at play, from Clevis' rise to power and Eddie and Venom's rift in their relationship, it's all spanned out in a short amount of time, so areas unfortunately feel rushed. When all else fails, the film pulls major conveniences out of its ass as an excuse to push the story along. Maybe I'm not that knowledgeable about Carnage's powers, but he does random shit that makes absolutely no fucking sense. The biggest example of this is during a scene where Carnage goes on a computer, turns his finger into a USB port, and instantly creates his own web browser with a red and black color palette, and then instantly gains access to confidential police reports. It continues the predecessor's pattern of undefining the symbiote's powers, and once you question it, your brain is gonna immediately melt. Whether you like it or not, Venom Let There Be Carnage has its early 2000s silly energy, but it has its own madcap identity unlike anything else today, while taking bold risks that places like the MCU would give brownie points to. It's not trying to be meta or self-aware, or for the most part, try to push a new phase, but be its own self-contained sequel that actually adds development to the titular lead's identity. The silly tone has been upgraded with more confidence and doesn't care what you think of it at all. It's not trying to appeal to die-hard comic book fans, but instead decides to follow the beat of its own drum. This movie struts its stuff on the runway like nobody's watching, being unapologetic and different enough from the rest of the popular kids in the room, and you have no choice but to stan. You know, as the saying goes, if you can't beat 'em, Venom. If you're watching this review post the film's release, let me know what you think. Do you agree or disagree with my takes? Leave a comment in the comment section below. And hey, before you go, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. We have a ton of upcoming exclusive reviews that you don't want to miss. And hey, if you like the channel, jump right on over to rendyreviews.com where you can read this review and hundreds of more. Thanks for watching. I'm Rendy Jones, and I'll see y'all on the next one.